Okay, Simon, this next question is for you. A little longer question, but certainly speaks, I think, to quite a common occurrence still, unfortunately, these days in the industry. When do you know to leave a job? I've had an agency job at one of the top Melbourne agencies. It's highly regarded, an industry powerhouse with a dynamic team, but the work-life balance is so much worse after COVID. Longer hours, shorter deadlines, and it's become the norm to do overtime. I'm talking most weeks I do 3 times 12 to 15 hour days and 2 normal days, or 7 to 5 days. I like the people and theoretically I like the work, but it's not sitting right with me. I've been following a small studio for a while on Instagram who are 2 best friends that work together. It looks like they're killing it, having fun and getting good work. They seem to have a good balance of work and life. I don't actually know them, so maybe it's for the gram, but it does look like they get a good work-life balance. Seeing their success both inspires me and depresses me. This is literally my dream. I'd take the pay cut for the flexibility. How can I achieve this? Where do I even start? How do I leave the stability of a 9 to 5? And by 9 to 5, I mean 7 to 7, sometimes later. Is this normal in agency land? Do you need to work crazy hours for the bigger annual wage?
Well, there's lots in that question. And as someone who did leave a well-paid job and took $100,000 pay cut to go and sort of join a startup agency, i.e. the Hallway, 16 years ago. So as someone who's done that, I know how hard it is and what it takes. And so the first thing I said is be wary of the shiny happy people on Instagram, because for sure there's some fun and there's a freedom and what have you, but it is a risk, and there's no guarantees that it will work out. I was about to say we're lucky because it has. I don't know. Some of it's luck, and a lot of it is just bloody hard graft. But what I would say, the benefits of it is that it's your own. You're your own boss, and if it works, it's because you make it work, and if you don't, it's because you don't. And so it's not because of some unseen overlord in New York or on a floor that you never get to go to or anything. And so if that really excites you and entices you, then my advice would be to give it a go. The bit in terms of the specific around when you know whether to leave a place, I think that comes down to being really clear on what your personal values are, and be really clear. And by values, I mean, if you think about the big decisions that you've made along the road in your life, what the deciding factors in those decisions have been, that's what you could define as your values, and go, the time to leave is when the job that you're in is actually running counter to those values. And if that is the case, then you need to, then my advice would be to move on. Do you have to work 7 to 7? Well, the reality is, if you're running your own shop, and on day one there is literally maybe just you, or there's you and a business partner, or maybe occasionally you get some other people in, you're definitely going to be working long hours. And if you want to make that business a success, you're going to basically put in all the hours God sends, because you have to be so passionate and so driven to make it work that actually you just do the hours. And it can be 10 years before you're kind of getting to a point of actually being able to take your foot off the accelerator. And you look at the great success stories in independent land. You look at the Monkeys, for example. That's probably the greatest success story in recent years. Those guys absolutely work their asses off
themselves.
Yeah. But what an amazing story, and what an amazing success. So hopefully that's useful.
I mean, it's true that, like, I think things are changing, right? Like, I know agents, like, well, even if you probably go back to when, I started an agency, you started yours 16 years ago. I'd say the cultures have improved and they're better now. I don't think there's as many agencies doing what this person describes, from what I know and hear, but I do know that these places still exist. So I think it's also a case of, like, you might not necessarily need to make such an extreme shift, but potentially go try and find a place that has a better culture and balance. And, if places are are not delivering on that, then they're not delivering on what their people need. And the other thing is that there's now laws against this. This is essentially a psychosocial hazard of adding that much stress and that much additional work to what people are being asked to do, that it's going to come a time in the next year or two where these businesses start getting picked up for saying, hey, you can't operate like this. So it's a challenge. I think it's one of those things that if you feel like you're able to be in control over the work you do, then that's kind of up to you, right? Like that's when you start your own business and you go, I'm going to do everything to make it work. If you feel like you're not in control and that's not a choice, then that's definitely something that might go against your values and probably your health.
And I think you're right, Andy, that I think the industry has changed. Certainly here at the hallway now, we're not working we're very rarely working at weekends unless there's a massive pitch and we really need to do it. Yeah. And we're not, at one stage, I was eating dinner in the office with my team, a couple of times, fairly regularly, a couple of times a week. The sort of, late night team pizza is happening far less than it would have done a few years ago. So there's definitely, I think you're absolutely right that there are plenty of agencies out there where you're going to work for sure, but not over the top.
Yeah. Okay, great.